Can the Los Angeles Lakers win the NBA title this season? So, of course, they made the huge offseason trade for Anthony Davis. It seems like half their roster from last year is now in New Orleans. You talk about Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart's there, Lonzo Ball is there. This is a different team, and the Lakers look much improved this year. So, there's a good chance this team makes the playoffs as long as they're healthy. They currently sit at 6-1, which is first place in the Western Conference. Somehow the Suns are in second place, which surprised me very much. I knew they were playing well, but not that well. I mean, second place, pretty crazy. They're 5-2 right now, I saw. So the Lakers will be competing with teams like Denver, maybe Houston, the Clippers, Utah, Portland. I guess I'll throw the Suns in there. And then, of course, there's the Lakers competing for the top spot in the Western Conference. So the Lakers currently do have sole possession of first place. They are 6-1. And none of these teams in the Western Conference are flawless like last year. Last year we had the Golden State Warriors. Of course, they had a healthy Clay, a healthy Curry, Draymond, KD. But now no one's healthy. There's no Clay, no Steph for at least the next few months. Draymond's currently hurt, but it's not that bad. He'll be back eventually. And of course, Kevin Durant's on the bench in Brooklyn. So there's a lot of things that can happen. I mean, this Western Conference is wide open for the first time in like the last 5 years, which is pretty cool. I like when the NBA is like that. I hate when coming into the season that you already know who's going to win. It's kind of boring, honestly, so I like it this way. But right now, the Lakers might have the best chance, and I like their chances because they hold some advantages over these other teams. So let's get into them real quick. So the biggest advantage, in my opinion, for this team is the experience. I mean, a lot of their guys have been around for a long time. LeBron James has been around for 16 seasons. Dwight Howard, 15 seasons. Rajon Rondo, 13 seasons. JaVale McGee, 11 seasons. Danny Green for 10 seasons. Avery Bradley's been around for 9. And Anthony Davis already is in his 7th year, so that's pretty crazy. So notice how all these players, aside from Anthony Davis and Avery Bradley, all have NBA Finals experience, which is huge. If you're going to go for a championship, you'd love to have guys that have NBA Finals experience already. That's definitely big in my opinion. If you've been keeping up, you can see that LeBron James, despite being 34 years old, is still very dominant. He can play defense with the best of them when he wants to, of course. And I feel like once they get to the playoffs, if they get to the playoffs, he'll be fine. And I think, as long as they'll manage his minutes throughout the season, I'm sure he'll have his rest days and stuff like that. So I'm definitely fine with LeBron heading into the playoffs, obviously. And you can see that Anthony Davis is a perfect fit for this team. I mean, they can go to him whenever they want. He's been a great scoring option for them. He's put up some crazy numbers so far this year. So as long as Anthony Davis stays healthy, which is not a guarantee, I love the spot he's in right now, and I think he's a perfect fit for this team, as I said. Even Danny Green's been great in his role. He's been hitting big shots for them. He had that big shot against Dallas, I think it was 4 or 5 days ago, whenever it was, but huge shot for him. And even Frank Vogel, who's the coach for this team now, used to be with the Pacers, with the Magic for a couple of years. He made the playoffs 5 times in 9 seasons as a head coach and brought the Pacers to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals appearances, so that has to be something. I mean, the Pacers weren't this overly dominant team. Of course, they had Paul George, and he was their superstar, but they weren't a team that had 3 superstars. It wasn't like you just threw any head coach in there and they were going to make the conference finals. I mean, you have to have a pretty good coach, or you have to be a pretty good coach, I should say, to bring a team to the conference finals when you have one superstar in Paul George and just a bunch of role players around him. So pretty good for him. You can honestly argue that Vogel's probably LeBron's best coach of his career, which is pretty sad to say, but you can make the argument honestly. So the flow of the Lakers offense looks very smooth. Their defensive effort has definitely been there so far. You have to give credit to Coach Vogel for that as well. They have guys that can get hot, and any second they have, Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's, had his issues, I guess, so far this year. It hasn't been as bad as the first couple games, but still, he's the type of guy that can make a few shots in a row and just uplift an offense whenever he wants. And, there's no clear-cut super team. That definitely helps, and I think this, Lakers team can beat any of these Western Conference teams in a 7-game series. I feel like, last year they were flawed. I don't think they could have beaten the Warriors, hypothetically. If the Lakers were the 8th seed last year and the Warriors were the 1, whatever it was, I don't think they would have had a chance to beat them in a 7-game series. But now we sit here, and I think the Lakers might be the best team in this conference. So the only thing that can stop them is injuries, in my opinion, and unfortunately for them, they have a few guys that have had some pretty decent size injury history. I mean, you think about Dwight Howard the last few years especially. I mean, Dwight Howard in Orlando was, playing like basically every game, but then once he left and went to the Lakers, he had the back issues and stuff like that, and he's had a bunch of surgeries since then, so you always worry about him. And then of course Rajon Rondo, he's had an ACL injury, he's banged up. It seems like every season the guy's banged up. I mean, he hasn't had a significant injury, I don't think, since then, but the guy always is injured. I mean, plays very hard, obviously, so it's not his fault. And of course, Anthony Davis, who has missed some time in New Orleans, so I mean, he hasn't really been the type of guy to go out there and play 82 games a year, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to be healthy for the playoffs. That's the big thing for this team. It'd be nice if they got the 1 seed, but of course, you just want a healthy team. I'm sure Frank Vogel would trade the 1 seed for like the 3 seed and have all his guys healthy. I think that's what they're going for this year. So the Lakers are very fun to watch. I mean, I'm sure Laker fans are excited for it. It's been a rough, 5-6 years for them, I would say. During the end of Kobe Bryant's era, and then the last couple of years with D'Angelo Russell, and then like the Julius Randle era, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. So once LeBron came over, definitely high hopes for them. They did not make it last year. They got a different team this year. They look a lot better, and I'm excited to see what they do the rest of the year. So we will see, I guess, once April comes around, where the Lakers are in the standings and how far they can get in the playoffs.